Thank you, Jaya, for the introduction. Good evening, everyone. My name is Gautam, and today I'll be speaking for the topic, which is does inclusivity in the design of public space affect the quality of life? I'd like to start by bringing to your attention to a very distinct situation we are all presently facing. In the current state of affairs, where much of our social life moves online and where social distancing is a norm, I have realized that the small tasks that I used to perform before, they had a very positive effect on my life in general. Say, for example, visiting a park with my friends, or using the metro, or even walking down the street after dinner with my family. I'm sure this is the case with most of us who are present here. The reason of this positive effect perhaps lies in the function of the public spaces itself. They are defined by UNESCO as a social space that is generally open and accessible to people. In an era of wireless portable technology, public spaces are more likely source for social interaction than they were ever before, especially when the time spent in the public spaces like bus stops or metros or even parks is when we have most of our interactions with the physical world and do not stare down a digital screen. Public spaces satisfy the basic human need of sociability, and this is the reason why we try to use them as much as possible, even though it is not conscious decision. So what better way to have a meaningful effect on the quality of life other than by designing these wonderful spaces to be inclusive so that more people of our community can use this wonderful experience to enhance their life. My teammate Ripandeep will be discussing further points regarding this topic later on as we proceed. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Usama Azam and my teammate is Alka Ashokan. Public spaces are integral part of cities, and the way a public space is designed will have a strong influence on the qualities of people's life. Therefore, it is important to understand whether to design, plan, manage a public space keeping inclusivity in mind. Because inclusivity is a practice or policy of providing equal access to opportunities and resources for people who might otherwise be excluded or marginalized. Even though accessibility has improved over the last decade and planning policy has shifted in favor of designing public spaces inclusively, the fact remains that is it affecting the quality of people's life? A simple answer will be no. We will see why. Most of the time, inclusivity is confused with necessity. Necessity while designing by meeting major demands and needs of everyone. It should be understood that there is a thin line between designing a public space while keeping necessity in mind or designing a public space keeping inclusivity in mind. For example, in a country like UAE, according to social norms, there are special considerations for female, and I consider it as a social responsibility and in necessity and not as inclusiveness. We can see that recent decade has brought an increased focus on whether to consider inclusivity while designing a public space. With the focus, a rising question comes of whether it can affect the quality of everyone's life. It is impossible to design something that is perfect fit for the entire population. Therefore, designing a public space inclusively will only affect the quality of certain people's life. But no, it won't affect the quality of every individual's life. Thank you.
Thank you. We would enlighten on this point that the public space and the quality of life would go hand in hand. As it is stated by my colleague, Mr. Gautam, it is a social impact as defined by the UNESCO 2017. It is a fundamental human right of an individual to have the right to access of the public space in compliance to being respected, protected with a shared cultural heritage. It is a constructed relationship between the ecology and the human ecology. Public life is a driver of physical and mental health, sustainable mobility, social benefits, identity and sense of place, safety, and economic development. Creative communities have the right to participate in the public affairs and in decision making, which are generally excluded from the urban planning processes. Public spaces are means of shared cultural heritage. It gives the people the right to access to and enjoy the cultural heritage in public spaces along with the sense of belongingness in the society. This ultimately provides a means of peaceful and safe environments. reducing the vulnerability and safeguard their involvement in the life of the community. Public spaces also add the commercial value to the properties and cater for the diversity of the population. When the neighborhoods are connected to one another via bike lanes or walkable streets, residents can move easily and share a social life, which means access to the physical environment, transportation, information and communications, other social facilities and services. The design, use and management of the public spaces can be facilitated by the public participation, community engagement, co-creation process, a special type of the co-collaboration where people are working and acting jointly with others to create something that is not known well in advance. Hence, the inclusivity of a space depends on several factors, which is not limited to location, accessibility, infrastructure, facility availability, user groups, and the types of the activities. So it is very largely affecting the human life. Thank you.
Thank you, Ripandeep. But I would like to say inclusive design requires changes in the usual pattern of thinking, because the usual design attempt to find the most direct route for an average user to satisfy their demands. But in reality, there's no average users. We are all individuals with varying abilities. Also, designing an inclusive environment is mostly by focusing on some physical difference alone. But there has to be an equal emphasis on different style of working as well as on mental health. Inclusive designs are defined as the accessibility and usability of a space by broad range of population irrespective of any differences. But it is impossible to design something which is a perfect fit for an entire population. When we look on to constructing such inclusive designs with a lot of facilities, the cost is also increasing. But the reality is that these facilities are mostly not being used. For example, the elevators along with the pedestrian flyovers, which are built for the differently able people. But who is using that? People who are fit enough to take stairs are also tend to use it. This shows that inclusivity can sometimes negatively influence the quality of life of some. Another example, there are some localities where the parking lots and the reserved spaces for differently able people in public spaces are not used much, which can be otherwise occupied by others. Also, while designing, keeping inclusivity in mind, we are actually segregating people based on their special requirements and drawing attention towards them, which they actually don't need. Is it healthy? No, it's not, because this is going to affect the people's mental health, and which is also a clear demarcation. How is it affecting the quality of life? It's going to affect the quality of life in a negative way. So inclusivity is not something you can generally decide. Therefore, we shouldn't misinterpret basic needs with inclusivity. To be clear, inclusivity is welcoming everyone without any differences. But most of the spaces which are designed cannot be fit enough for most of the population. Therefore, inclusivity cannot be considered as something which affect quality of people's life. Thank you.
Yes, hi. Hello. I'd like to start with one point that our opposition, they have highlighted here. They started off saying that the inclusivity and is same as necessity. In this regard, I would like to highlight that they both are totally different points and they are not interchangeable. They argue that for an entire population, the spaces cannot be changed. They argue that the whole space cannot be changed for a certain part of a population, just because it is not cost effective and it doesn't make sense to satisfy a few people while ignoring the others. Inclusivity actually is a different term. It doesn't prevent others from using the facilities effectively. It just adds facilities so that everyone can use it. It doesn't exclude anyone. To support my point, I would like to bring forward that Eurostat, which is a statistical office of the European Union, it has it has defined 9 dimensions that affect the quality of life, and out of those, leisure and social interactions are also considered to be one of the major indicators governing the quality of life. The time that people spend outside their productive activity has a major impact on the sense of well-being, happiness, and life satisfaction. Our ability to spend time with family and friends is also an important factor in the quality of life. So when we cater for such small groups, we also have effect on the overall community because they are part of the community. Say, for example, when I was a student, we had a group project and we all had access to an excellent park nearby, in which we used to hold a weekly meet. This was a very fresh and welcoming idea for some of our teammates who didn't have an opportunity to experience such inclusive public spaces. The location of a meeting actually helped in a stronger team bonding and thus improve the overall performance of our team in the project. So I would like to highlight once again that changes to design aspects, which our opposition said is impossible to cater for whole population, giving examples of elevators and parking lots, and also the effect of mental health on such usages by fit people. I'd like to say that when we go out in a public space for socializing, that is when our mental health improves, and we should give equal opportunity to everyone to have the same benefits. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. So, according to Gautam points, we need to consider inclusivity as it will affect the quality of people's life. But then, tell me, isn't it impossible to make room for different groups of society in public space without considering the safety of people? This question forces us to pause for a moment and reconsider the threats related to inclusive public space. In a 2020 research in Urban Design International, inclusive public space has also been challenged by growing security concerns. Certain spaces can become monoculturally dominated, undermining the intention for public spaces to be democratic places at all. And it should be noted that it is not efficient to design every public space keeping inclusivity in mind, because a city can have high population with limited amount of public space. So inclusivity will only affect the quality of specific people's life, but it won't affect the quality of every individual's life. We should not confuse the demands and needs of public space with inclusivity. The major example which I would like to give is that in UAE that ladies have different reserved area in public spaces such as park. We cannot design the whole park keeping inclusivity in mind so that every section of the park can be accessed by every individual. Because it is a social norm to give preferences to females, whereas when you specify inclusivity of gender in general or globally, it is designing a public space with all genders in mind. And we should know that different countries have different cultural norms. One cultural norm in UAE which we can notice is that Arab people will give preference to use a seated area called majlis. This majlis is used for dining purposes as well as entertainment purposes and is a cultural norm of Arabs. We can't use this cultural norm in other countries because it won't be beneficial and will be a wastage of area and resources. So in UAE and Arab countries, it's a demand rather than focusing on inclusivity. Because majlis is a cultural demand, and by fulfilling this demand, it will increase the productivity if it is required in a public space. Meeting social cultural needs in public space will not only fulfill the demand but will also increase the profit margin as it will engage people interest. But again, it should not be confused with the idea of inclusivity. Right now, we are going through a tough phase of COVID-19 pandemic, where people gathering and interaction in public spaces are limited. This pandemic demands a design or pattern space which should allow people to interact. This interaction in public space is done by putting forward people's health as number one priority. It doesn't mean that public space is designed inclusively. It means that it is designed based on the demand and need of public. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We would address all of your concerns, and to begin with, union public space should be politically, economically, and culturally inclusive. Now, this inclusivity refers to three types, which is political or class inclusion, which includes all groups of people are welcome to the space. Economic inclusion, that means the spaces should be provided free of charge or should be affordable by large groups. And cultural inclusion, every minor group should be welcome. Now, we also need to consider that we should build the public space in such a way which is inclusive, sustainable, and accessible urban space that reflect and encompass the diversity and the needs of all the inhabitants. Now, the sustainability, health, and the well-being of the fundamentally intertwined. To address your point of the safety, we have the legal and institutional framework that needs to be established well in before to ensure the eco-sustainable urban development is there in place. In short, the public spaces addresses all types of the related collaboration activities, including citizen engagement, sharing and interpreting information, co-learning, collaboration, expressing the opinions, defining the priorities, redefining ideas, making decisions, creating common values, implementing solutions, and monitoring. These accessibility of the public spaces are generally physical, social, and access to the activities and discussions and the intercommunication and access to the information. So it really goes hand in hand, and it is very important to consider that the public space is going to have a tremendous impact on the human health. Thank you.
Thank you, Ripandeep and Gautam. That was a nice debate, but I still say no to the part of inclusivity. What is quality of life? It is the standard of health, comfort, and happiness experienced by an individual or group. It's about treating everyone equally and respectfully, and not differentiating anyone. Inclusive design is all about putting the users at the heart of the design process. But it is also about usability and efficiency as well. If it is not used properly, then what's the use of it? If there is neither usability nor efficiency, then inclusivity as a whole will be a wastage of money and space. Isn't that so? But by inclusivity in design, particularly for a specific group of people, it can sometimes cause issues as well. As sometimes it can cause mental dilemma, and inclusivity can also lead to segregation based on their specific needs. Cultural and social norms are another aspect which is globally accepted, and they are a necessity which can vary from countries to country. As I said earlier, it is impossible to design for all according to everyone's requirement. Inclusivity is not about giving equal chances to all, but it is about offering choices to people, and the choices can sometimes be less used or misused. So, to conclude, we cannot say that inclusivity in design can affect people's life positively, as it cannot change the quality of every individual's life. Thank you.